Okay, my friends, right there is the AC plug-in for my snowblower. It goes right down to the starter, right there, and turns the engine over. My snowblower is under a tarp right now, but there's a good shot of it. So let me just go show you something. I'll be right back. Alright, my friends, I found this 100-foot extension cord, 14 gauge, it says right here. Where is it? 14.3, right there. In the alley. A family has moved out, and they just threw everything away. I got a perfectly good garden hose. I got this 100-foot extension cord, which I use when I go start the snowblowers in the fall and stuff like that. This end was perfect. I just had to use a file to clean up the ends. It's a factory end. And this end is mostly good. One of the grounds is a little iffy. The ground is the round one, and then the wide one is the neutral, and this narrow one is the hot. And I think on one of these two, probably this one because it's the most abused, it is, anyway, I got them all working, but it's, this one you have to kind of wiggle the cord to get a connection. And on my snowblower, which you just saw, this wouldn't fit in there anyway. You need one of these, right, to stick into the hole of the snowblower. And I've never been a fond of these 3-to-1s anyway. So I'm going to cut that one off, and we're going to go to this. Simple thing, unless you've never done it. So I'm going to cut this off and throw it away. Alright, this is a tool I used in the old days. It's made by PK Nooses Incorporated. We called it a nooses tool. And what it does, okay, so this would be a lot of the ways a lot of the guys would skin or skin the insulation off of a cord, right? I'm going to go to about here. We can cut the leads to anywhere we want. So normally you would go around here with a knife or a electrician's knife or something like that. But this was one we used on multi-pair cables of 24 gauge wire inside, like 100 pair would be inside here. And we would stick this on here like that. It has a little razor blade right in there. You might be able to see it there. And we'll stick it on here. And we'll go around a couple of times. And all it does is score the outside insulation. It doesn't go past the width of that razor blade. So I should be able to get it cracked. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Never touched any of the wires, right? There we go. Now, this is surprising, but some extension cords have cloth interwound around the conductors as well. But this one doesn't. So let's get a green Robertson and take this guy apart. You are with me, yes you are. Are you with me? So I can use my GIS screwdriver on here, but you can't use a regular screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver on a Japanese screw. You need the other one. So here we go, blah blah blah. Stick this through here. We'll calculate how much length we need on our conductors. Not much, right? Because we're going to be clamping on the insulation there. So I'm just going to make it quite short, actually. So these are labeled for you. Green is ground. White goes to the wide one, which is neutral. And the dark screw is the hot. So, one moment again. Hang on. Alright, here we are. I'm going to make them, there might even be a skinning guide here. Sometimes they do that. Yes, they do. Strip guide. There it is, right there. So I'm going to make my wires about, I don't know how long to make them. Is that part of the guide too? Maybe. Looks pretty short. I'm going to go a little longer. I'm going to cut them all off about this length. Now this is another super cool, wonderful thing. So it looks like the strip guide, the wire should be about a ½ inch long. I'm going to go a little longer. This is another super cool phantasmagorical tool, right? Watch this. Oh, gotta go twice on that one. That tool's getting old. It's interesting that these connectors are a little dark, or the conductors are a little dark. Should we maybe take a foot off this and see if they're just as dark further up, or if that's corrosion? It is copper, by the way, right? Let's just take 6 inches away and do it again. I'm not happy with the way those conductors look. They look dark. Okay, so they're still dark colored. So what I'm going to do is get my other electrical knife, and I'm just going to scrape these away from my, just to expose a little bit more of the conductor. Good. Now twist them. Hope you're watching, Grampy. Okay, so now it said a ½ inch, or we'll do it real world here. This is the insulation guide. So I bet you the people that threw this cord out were having trouble with the female end, you know, being dirty. It was full of dirt too, right? Because it was probably laying outside feeding a block heater on a car. Okay. Green, ground. Most important one. Back them off a little bit. So these screws, you can use a Robertson or a Phillips or a flat blade, right? Ground. I'm going to make that just a tiny bit shorter. Now, some guys wind the wire around the screw, which is what I used to do. But now I just do what they do. Green. There, shove it in there good. And I always do the ground first. Silver, which will be white, correct, which goes to the wide one, which is essentially your return, electrical return. This is important stuff, because if you get these backwards and you hook the black one to the ground, you're going to have 120 volts AC on the protective ground, which isn't protective. I'm going to just take a tiny bit off that. They've made this so easy these days that pardon me, I'm going to just try to feed that down there without spreading any of the conductors. Here we go. Perfect. No shiner. And I'll show you what a shiner is on the next one. So if I was to screw that down like that, you'll see that it's that the wire, the insulation ends there and the wire ends there, so that's called a shiner in my world. So we just got to make sure that that's shoved all the way up there and then tightened up. Hot, brown, I'm just retightening them all, right? And white, neutral. Okay, where are we? Right here, right there, right there, right there. There. Yes, and this insulation goes past this clip. So let's just tighten that up for us. Just push it in tiny bit. So there's a little tiny bit of residual wire slack inside this cover. There, just a nice crimp there. All right. Now we're going to plug this into the wall. Way down here. So now we go to AC volts. $119 volts there. $119 volts there. And I want to find a ground. Is that a ground? Yeah, it is. How about that? Okay. So we'll bring this back. So if I go between the hot and the ground, I should see 115 volts as well. Yes. So between here and here, I got 119 volts. Between here and here, I got 119 volts. And between here, which is the neutral, and the ground, I should get 0 volts, or close to it. Yeah, 0.029. There you go. I can now use this to start my snowblowers in the wintertime. Isn't that wonderful? And I always tape things up. And one more thing, when I wrap a cord, oh, hey, you're too close to me. Wrapping an extension cord is an art. You don't do it like this. Because number one, you're going to have too small, it's going to be too massive loops. You'll have a core of loops that big. Plus it puts unnecessary twists in the cord. So I do about a 6-foot loop. That's about a 6-foot loop. And then when you do a 6-foot loop, you can count how many strands you have, and you just divide by or multiply by 6. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 times 6 is very close to 100, right? Just, you know, do you know how many times I've done that in my life? So thanks guys for watching this. Alright my friends, this is my 832 John Deere snowblower that I restored almost 9 years ago now. Not restored, what do you call it? Reconditioned. Everything that it needed it got. So right now the gas is off, I'm turning the gas on. Choke. Remember this is the extension cord that I made up, right? Let's see if she flies. It's a little quick. But if I pump the primer and it starts to squirt or drip out, this is old school stuff, right? 78. Yeah, there's gas coming down there now. It should fire right up. Thanks to Dave Ackerman. Okay, we're in neutral. Gas is on. I just put some fuel in it. Got to turn on the throttle. How many times do I forget that? Hard to do, one hand. Sorry about that. Alright, everything seems to work. I put these under a really good quality tarp that's designed for snowblowers in the summer. And in the wintertime they live in here. Alright, I just took the cover off of this one. It's got 1/4 of a tank of fuel. And I'll turn the fuel off before when I park it over there where the other snowblower was. This is called Machine Tetris. Let's just see what happens here. Will she go? Yay! Warm it up a little. It's all my yard, right? We just put the snowblower in there. to run there. Okay, let's go see if this guy starts. He's the one that we're going to plow snow with in this winter. Please forgive me, you guys. I'm going to just stop for a minute. Okay, there's my LX178. The battery is out. There's the tools, gas, my cord. Now the big kahuna, this guy. Is it going to start? This battery is a little on the weak side, eh? I was hoping to get through another winter. Come on, girl. Come on. It's been sitting a while, and I did not prime it. That's my first tractor. No? Yeah, my first one. I've had 3.